Shalom, welcome to shalomadventure.com and our Hebrew class, and we're in lesson 2. We're going to be learning a few letters here today. Now, in English, we read from from left to right, and we'll see in the Hebrew we're writing from right to left. And in English, Hebrew like in English, the letters really are just symbols, right? Here we got our alphabet, A, B, C, D, right? Well, who is to say that's an A? And that's the shape of the A, or that's the shape of the lowercase a, right? The uppercase A is different. Who's to say that's a B, the lowercase b? You know, who's to say that? That's, someone said it, I guess, somewhere, and that's what it is, right? And so it's just a symbol. And some of the symbols look very similar. Kids often have problems with their B's and their D's because it looks exactly the same, just switched, right? And so we'll see the same with the Hebrew. There are some letters that look very similar, but there's just a little modification to it. It makes it a totally different letter, right? And that's all it is. Like in our English, right, we've got an O, right? You add a little line to it, it's a totally different letter, right? Now it's the Q, right? And so all letters for any language is just symbols, right? So this is the symbol for A, that's the symbol for B, that's the symbol for C, etc. And so as we're learning Hebrew, there are totally different symbols. Okay, so the symbols for the letters are different. We just need to learn those symbols and know what the sound that symbol makes. That's all it is. And that's going to be new to us, learning new symbols. All right, so hopefully you can handle that. The sounds are basically the same. I think there's only one sound in Hebrew that we don't have in English. So we'll learn one new sound, but otherwise it's the same sounds and even fewer of them. And just new symbols, that's what we're going to have to learn. Okay? Now, in reading again, in English, we read from left to right. In Hebrew, we read from right to left. Now, when Hebrew was originally written, the way the Torah is written, it does not have any vowels, right? So this English word here would just be RD. There'd be no vowels, okay? You might say that'd be difficult, but in context, it's not that difficult once you learn to use it. But we're going to be learning it with the vowels here, so you'll be fine. Now, so again, originally it was just the consonants and these dashes, and there's dots and different things that are the letters, that are the vowels. And so we originally just had the consonants. And then a few hundred years ago, when they decided to make it easier for us, maybe just for us Americans, I don't know, but make it easier for people to be able to read, they put vowels in. And they didn't want to change the way the word looked, and so they stuck the vowels either underneath, or some of them are over the letter, and so that's where the vowels are placed. And so in reading Hebrew, we kind of read it up and down. So we'll read the letter, the consonant, then we'll read the vowel. Then we'll read the next consonant, then we'll read the next vowel, and then the next consonant. So it's kind of this up and down going across. So it's right to left, and kind of a little zigzaggy pattern across the page there. Catching the vowel, and again, sometimes the vowel will be on top. So the consonant and the consonant, let's say the vowel was up there, but it's across the page in that direction. Consonant first, and then vowel. Now, just like in English, there's a rule for English for breaking up syllables. And the rule in English, same for Hebrew. The rule for a vowel, for a syllable in English, what do you need? At least one of to make a syllable, you need at least one vowel, right? And so same here. So we've got a letter, we've got a vowel, we've got a letter, we've got a vowel. We have a letter, we do not have a vowel. So this has to go with this one in order to be, so this is a two-syllable word. Even before you know the letters and what they sound to make, you can see that this is a two-syllable word. So we got a vowel and a consonant, so we've got a syllable. We got syllable 1, and then we got our syllable break, and then we've got our two consonants but only one vowel, so those will have to be together to make a two-syllable word. Just like English, and that helps in reading, makes it easier to read just a syllable at a time instead of reading big words at a time. And then you can read the biggest word just breaking it up into syllables, and again, we'll see how easy that is for Hebrew. And now we've been learning a little bit about English, and we've been learning just a very little bit about Hebrew. We'll get more into Hebrew. But before we do that, I want to teach you a little bit about math. You say, I didn't come here to learn math. I came here to learn Hebrew. That's all right. This will help you in learning Hebrew. in math, there's an x symbol and a y symbol. And in this type of equation, the x and the y's are unknown, right? So we don't know what equals 3. It could be, well, what could it be? It could only really be 1 plus 2 equals 3, or 2 plus 1. But right now they're unknown, right? So if I told you that the y, we did some research and we found out in this scientific experiment that the y was 2 or equal to 2, then you know that the x would have to be 1, right? All right, that's a mathematical algebra there, but don't worry about it. Just these are unknowns in the math world. And the reason I spent a little time on teaching you that, or reviewing that with you, is because we have 2 letters in Hebrew that look very similar to an X and very similar to a Y. And both those letters are, in a sense, the unknowns. In a sense, they do not have a sound. They are both silent. Now, unlike the English that has a sometimes silent PH, sometimes a silent E, and all these other different, sometimes silent Ks and all these other kind of things, these letters are always silent, not sometimes silent. They are always silent. And that becomes helpful. You might say, why? Because when we hang a vowel next to it, it gives the vowel the ability to make a sound and still be its own syllable. So they'll be helpful in our Hebrew. But a little helpful way to remember it, just like the math, the x's and the y's unknown in the mathematical equation. So our x looking, that's an aleph, and that's an ayin. There we go. The aleph and the ayin, they are silent. Okay? All right, now let's learn an ah vowel. 2 ah vowels, actually. Both of them, this stick-looking figure, and this, I kind of like to think of it as your tongue sticking out, or you look inside your mouth and the uvula in the back. And so if you think of this one as the tongue depressor, you go to the doctor, he sticks this tongue depressor into your mouth, and he says, stick out your tongue and say, ah, and it makes the ah sound. Both of those make the ah sound. So those are our ah vowels, okay? And they, again, always make that ah sound. They show up at the bottom of the letter, and so we have our letter, which is our aleph, which is silent, right? So we got our silent letter and our ah vowel, so we read it silent ah, right? So, but it's one syllable, so that would be ah. Very good, very good. And there again, our different ah vowel, silent letter, the I, aleph, so it's ah. Okay, simple enough. Now we get the 2 silent letters, and we're going to read silent letter, vowel, vowel. Okay, so it'll be ah, ah. Okay, how many syllables is that non-word? It's not a word, but how many how many syllables would that be? From what we learned, again, just learning English, same rule. We've got a vowel and a consonant, so we have enough for a syllable. Same here, so we have a 2-syllable word, ah, ah. Okay, and we're reading across that way. All right, very good. There we go, we're reading across that way. Okay, and then we'll do it again. Ah, ah. All right, very good. We're learning away here. Thank you for joining us on Shalom Adventure at shalomadventure.com.